What's going on, Jeromes? We're back. Daily Jeromes live stream. Happy Thirsty Thursday out there, everyone, everywhere. Monday through Thursday, 11 a.m. Central-ish time. Every single day, Monday through Thursday, talking Vikings, talking free agency, and the draft. Last one for the week, going out strong. Let's do this damn thing. Isaac Ackley. Is it fair to say the Vikings are a Joe Thuney and Devontae Smith away from having a dominant offense? Yes. And I'll say just Joe Thuney. Or... no, they probably need two offensive line pieces now that Reef is gone. Gavin O. Starting to fall in love with Trevor Moehrig. Also, just see Peter Schrager put Moehrig as the sixth best prospect in the draft. Well, I mean, Pete gets after it in terms of outlandish stuff. I wouldn't go that far. I do like Moehrig as the safety one in this draft. Richie Grant, probably a 1B. But in terms of what the Vikings need at safety, Moehrig does bring that in spades. I think he would be a phenomenal free safety replacement for Anthony Harris. But problem is, 14 seems a little bit rich for him. Although I think Moehrig's a wild card. He might go shockingly high. And Kyle Pitts might go shockingly high as well. Or he might fall. That covers all the bases. T. Johnson. Linval was seen on Instagram wearing Vikings workout clothes. Was he? Yeah, we'll look into that. Let's see. Linval on the gram. It's kind of funny. It's same thing as Stephon Diggs wearing Cardinal stuff last year. Warm Skull. After watching that Pierce workout video, I almost think a perfect pairing draft pick would be Christian Barmore now. Pairing the two of them together would be nasty. Which leads to my question. Other than the Vikings, what draft pick would be a perfect pairing for another team? Mine, Rashad Bateman to Washington. Him and Scary Terry. Him and Scary Terry would be gross. Let's see, a perfect pairing. I don't know, beyond like Penei Sewell and the Bengals. Beyond Lawrence and the Jaguars. Let me think. If the Niners could get Surtain, where if they continue to play a heavy cover 3 defense, I think Surtain would make a lot of sense. They're probably not going to get Caleb Farley. Other than that, I think Kwity Paye with the Raiders would make a ton of sense as well, since they've been looking for edge help forever. Clelin Ferrell not really working out. Joke. Oh. No, that doesn't make sense. No, that doesn't make sense. Hate to say it, but Kadarius Toney with the Packers would be just disgusting. I would hate it. I hate everything about it. Andrew Hansen, with the O-line craziness going down, how does Kyle Big Hinton factor into the mix? Vikings protected him on the practice squad late last year. Yeah, so he was on the practice squad. Vikings called him up week 17, before the week 17 game against the Lions. They didn't play him, but they had just gotten wide receiver Alexander Hollins poached from the practice squad by the Browns. So, yeah, teams must have been sniffing around Kyle Hinton. And I like him, but it's a big-time transition, man. Plus, he only was at 295 at his pro day. I think he went to the Kansas State pro day. And he's transitioning from D2 left tackle inside. So the speed of the game is going to... immense. Plus, he has to work on that anchor. But he's a big-time physical freak, man. Like, go back and watch his track and field stuff. Does he do hammer toss or is it discus? It's one of the two. Either way, I believe he was a track and field All-American. Kid's got a lot of athletic ability, and I think that could translate. Plus, he's got violence in his hands, man. You love that punch, and I think that he could compete inside. Like, you're not going to hand him the job, but if you tell me somehow, some way, Kyle Hinton is in the mix with a couple mid-round rookies or a mid-level free agent for that other guard spot, hopefully opposite, say, a guy like Kevin Zeitler or Joe Thuney, yeah, I'm fully in. Also competing with Oli Udoh. Ryan Topper, I'm thinking take Amir Smith Marset in the 4th, 5th round. Iowa gives blazing speed. Well, like we outlined, so when we did that video about the ideal wide receiver 3, talking about smaller, speedy wide receivers, like Marset didn't even make the list. He didn't even make the top 15, even though he is a stud player. I haven't done a ton of film work on him, just what I saw from normal watching of games during the fall. But, I mean, if you're looking for a, Marset's 6'2", but if you're looking for a sub 6 foot dude who runs a low 4 or a high 4.4 or high 4.340 and has speed for days, this is the draft for you. There's literally like 20 dudes who fit that mold. It's a lot of fun in this draft. Janek McKay, would you be okay with us trading down in the mid-20s, picking up a second, and then possibly moving up a bit in the 3rd and 4th to get Vera Tucker in the 1st, Wyatt Davis the 2nd? If the board breaks that way, and if you can get that, yes. I'm not sure it's a guarantee that you would get that compensation, though. Paz Mello, Have you seen the last 2 posts on Instagram from Lindvall? Just him in purple? No, I haven't. I saw that one of his was him saying happy birthday to Shamar Stephen. Lindvall on the gram. Oh, yeah, look. Yeah. Lindvall's a stud, man. If the Chargers do cut him, and we're keeping tabs on the news, these cuts are coming fast and furious, man. I would bring him back to back up Michael Pierce, 1,000%. Plus, in goal line, Michael Pierce next to Lindvall Joseph. Let's go. Come here, Tua or Jalen Hurts. I would pick Tua. It's pretty close, though. Bruce Robinson Jr. Should we sign one big signing, Joe Thuney or Keanu Neal, or try to hole up with the minimum contracts plus a lot of players in the draft? I would side one guy. I would side one guy over 4 mid to low level free agents. So yeah, throwing it all on Joe Thuney or Zeitler. I'm less in on Keanu Neal, even though he is a stud and he was cut, so he won't count versus the comps. Plus he's only 26, I believe. But this is a really good safety draft. Well, not like top end beyond Morig and Holland and Richie Grant, but 3rd, 4th round, where the Vikings have 1 million picks, you can certainly get a starting safety. Rohit and Impati, can you see the Vikings use their first rounder and one of the thirds on O-line? Yes. Well, if they get an absolute nail driver for a starting guard, maybe less likely. But if Darrisaw or Slater is there at 14, take him. If AVT is going to be the guy, sure. And then in the 3rd round, if you're getting Dickerson's probably going to be gone. Myers could be gone. Creed's probably going to be gone. But if you get a guy like Trey Smith in the 3rd round or Ben Cleveland, yes, go get it. Ryan Topper. Would you mad the Vikings stick and pick and through the first 4 rounds get Horn, Trey Smith, McNeil, Seth Williams, Tariq Thompson, Kendrick Green, Cam Sample? No, I would be okay with that. I think Green might go a little bit higher. Well, actually, no, it's in the 4th round. But no, if it went down like this, I'm certainly okay with that. So, well, I'm not a big Cam Sample fan because he's a tweener, and there really isn't a position for tweeners on the Vikings 4-3 defense. They're very much traditional in that regard, except for Barr, who's the 6'5" strong side linebacker. But at Seth Williams at receiver, Tariq, Kendrick Green, doubling down offensive line. You got Tariq at safety. Yeah, I'd be okay with that. Kiskanaway. Why did the Chiefs release Mitchell Schwartz? I thought he was like a Pro Bowl tackle and miss him. He's definitely lost a step. Plus, his contract wasn't really worth that contract. Plus, there have been some things haven't been copacetic between Schwartz and the Chiefs. Now, I know a lot of people are saying Vikings should go after Mitchell Schwartz. But when he was a free agent coming from the Browns, the Vikings were off the free agent radar, mainly because, so Jeff Schwartz is the big brother of Mitchell Schwartz, and Jeff Schwartz was offensive line for the Vikings back in the day. Didn't really end well in his eyes, and he, I believe, by his own admission, directed Mitchell away from the Vikings. So I don't know if that wound is healed. So yeah, I think the Vikings probably don't have a chance on Mitchell Schwartz, but he's going to have a big market either way. Goat Morrow. AVT, Pay, and Slater. I want one of them at 14. If we get unlucky, I would go Barmore. But I think we need to draft in the trench and spend money on guys like William Jackson in the secondary. William Jackson's going to get paid. So I'm down for bringing in some cornerback depth, but I mean, William Jackson's going to get top tier money, so probably not. But AVT, Pay, Slater, yeah, I'm fine with them at 14. And given the changes in the Vikings' fortunes up front, I'm definitely more on board with AVT than I was when Riley Reif was in the fold. Max Kallenberg, what's the next move after Reif? Well, it was Skolkwood taking that pay cut. It's weird, a Vikings leader taking a pay cut so the Vikings can go after a Super Bowl. I wish Kirk and Barr would take lessons, but I think Anthony Barr is the next big decision. $12.3 million base salary, 7.1 of it is fully guaranteed on March 19th. I very highly doubt that he's going to see the full freight of his contract. So it's either going to be a cut, it's either going to be a pay cut, or it's going to be a trade. Also, the pet peeve struck again. So a number of the local Smokies here with the Vikings, the local beat writers were calling Colquitt's pay cut a restructure. It wasn't a restructure, it was straight up pay cut. No. Next up, Jack Martinson. Do you think Weatherly has the ability to be a solid starting edge for the foreseeable future? If not, who are your favorite edge prospects in the upcoming draft that could fill that role? I don't think he can be a full-time edge. I think he'd be an extremely valuable rotational piece, as well as he can play a lot on the inside. He and Afadi did that with a plum in 2019. I believe Weatherly had 3 sacks. I think Afadi had 7 when they were in that role behind Daniil and Everson. I think that's a stealing, and I think that has a lot of value on defense. Edge prospects. So my rough big board for edges is Quidipe 1, Aziz 2. Even though we just said we didn't want Cam Sab because we didn't want tweeners, but now Aziz is rare, man. He is rare. Plus he has enough length to be on the outside. I would put I'm going to put Boogie Basham 3 specifically for the Vikings because I think he can come in and play left defensive end, move Daniil to the blind side, do that. I'll put Jalen Phillips. I put Rousseau 4. I put Phillips 5. I'll put Asai 6. I'll put Owes 6. I'll put Asai 7. Then it gets dicey, and then it's like Rashawn Weaver, Patrick Johnson, the 2 pick guys. Yeah, it gets dicey after that. Griffin Creer. If we sign Joe Thuney, do we think we go BPA in the draft or draft a need? Go BPA. Yeah, that definitely gives you the flexibility. And it doesn't matter who it is. It could be a wide receiver. It could be a cornerback. It could be the safety. It could be offensive line, defensive line. It could be a linebacker. It could be Micah Parsons. So, yeah. Or it could be quarterback. You never know. Miles, new player on the Vikings. I'll have the biggest impact. Whoever they pick in the first round. Actually, no. The highest priced free agent from this class, because they'll be immediate day one starter. Connor Pierce. How do you feel about the Reef cut? I like it Ezra time, baby. Yes, move Ezra to left tackle. And so we got some blowback on the don't move Brian O'Neill because it's stupid to do it only because of the money. Well, money was a very small part of it. A lot of it is, hey, don't have Ezra learn a new position for the second year in a row. Ezra Cleveland, natural left tackle. Brian O'Neill already firmly established as one of the great right tackles in the game. You don't see the Eagles all willy-nilly moving Lane Johnson from right tackle, left tackle, even though they've had opportunities to do it in the past. So now, AJ Barnes. Have you done any work on the top kickers in the draft? I watched McPherson. That's about it. I haven't done enough work to look at top 5. But McPherson probably going to be the first and probably only kicker drafted in this draft. Ezekiel Lockhart. Number 1, would you like to see cross sports competition? No. Number 2, why does the national media hate the Minnesota team so much? Well, they're easy to overlook because it's flyover country. There's no real established stars beyond Jefferson, beyond not even saying Daniil nationally, which is kind of weak. Yeah, it's probably easy why. Plus, given the Minnesota sports history, professional history beyond the Lynx in the last 20 years, easy to do. Gavin O. Chiefs just released Schwartz. Would you put O'Neill at left tackle and Schwartz at right? No, because you keep Ezra in at guard. It's not his natural position. No, try Ezra at left tackle. Keep O'Neill at right tackle. And you know what? If Ezra isn't up to snuff at left tackle, then you can open up the Pandora's box of moving Brian O'Neill left tackle. Westworld, can you expand on your tweet about athletes choosing to be a wide receiver over cornerback, or is this prevalent in choosing D-line over offensive line? So Mike Clay, ESPN, was talking about how the depth of wide receiver in the National Football League is so much deeper than cornerback. And I think it does stem from youth football and the influx of fantasy football. So kids, they want to be scoring the touchdowns. They don't want to be the guy stopping other dude from scoring the touchdown. So you're seeing that a lot of the talent base of a lot of the skill sets that overlap between wide receiver and cornerback, they play wide receiver as long as they possibly can. And hey, would you rather be a cornerback 1 on a team or be a wide receiver 3? Well, given the prevalence of the passing game and going 3 wide, wide receiver 3 is basically a starter on most teams except for the Vikings, who only went 11 personnel 29% of the time, dead less in the league in 2020. So I think you're seeing that trickle up both into the spread offenses in high school as well as in college, and then eventually to the NFL, where talent at wide receiver Well, top tier talent at cornerback is still certainly there, but the depth is not there like it had been in the past. Where now, if you see kids playing cornerback, it's either guys that can't catch or converted college wide receivers becoming cornerbacks. You saw that with Richard Sherman. You saw that with a handful of the top tier cornerbacks. So I think that it is sort of a freakonomics rabbit hole where it starts there. Plus, with the prevalence of 7-on-7 camps all around the league, all around the country, they're not putting an emphasis on defensive back technique. It's just not. It's just like, oh, how many points can we score? Oh, you scored? Okay, now we're going to try and score on you. That's what it is. It's like defense in AAU basketball. There ain't no defense. It's all about scoring. That's exactly what 7-on-7 is now. So cornerback-wise, it is becoming a lost art, but that's why you're seeing cornerback contracts continue to rise, because there is a scarcity. Like having a top-tier cornerback one, it's hard to find nowadays. And unless something changes, it's not. Yeah. And it is the same thing with offensive line versus defensive line, where if a kid is 6'5", 280, he'd rather be an edge rusher or a defensive tackle, because get the sacks, get the ladies, you get the clout, you get the money. Whereas offensive line, you put on 30 pounds of paunch, and you're just like the fat dude who goes backwards. Like, and what's more appealing? Being a defensive end or being that tackle who has to go backwards and you have to try and stop and impede the progress of a 6'5", 260-pound dude who runs a 4.5 40? Huh? What are you trying to do? Nick Wolf. What do you think if the Vikings sign Kyle Long? Then I'm sure Spielman's going to trade down and get sign Kyle Long, but don't have him be the only free agent that you sign. So if the Vikings did sign a guy like Zeitler and Kyle Long, that would make a lot of sense. But just signing Kyle Long as a standalone, no, I don't like that. Hey, let us know where you're watching from. Give a couple shout outs. And I will remember to do shout outs today. Forgot yesterday. That's my bad. Next up. T. Johnson. Who would win in halftime UFC match between Victor Viking or hyped up Vike Flair? Vike Flair. Victor Viking is a pansy. David Ruiz. Victor Viking is the CM Punk of mascots fighting. David Ruiz, is there a DK type receiver in this draft? No. Like, there's not someone who is jacked up and chiseled and runs like amazingly fast in a straight line. I guess if Sage Surratt had ran a 4.3 40 as opposed to his 4.6, maybe, but no, DK is rare, man. T. Johnson, if you started your own restaurant grill, what would you name it? And what would the signature dish style of food going to be? I always like the idea of a diner, like a diner that did like down home, folksy, like Midwestern / Southern soul food. Also did some barbecue. It's sort of all encompassing. Plus, it closed after lunch. I like keeping those hours. Signature dish. I don't know, probably some stupid garbage omelet. I like places that do that. Yeah. Connor Pierce. A couple shout-outs. Mark Sonnenberg, Rhinelander, Wisconsin. McNiller and Sons, Table, Arizona. I get it, because Mesa means table in Spanish. Astro, Skull St. Cloud, what up? T. Johnson, Tampa. DC, Superman, 638. Egan. Purple Rain, Skull from Wausau, Wisconsin. Mike Benham, Grand Rapids. Lil Remy, Skull from California. Matthew S, ATL. Ty B, VA, what's up? You guys are the best. Thanks for coming along on this amazing Thursday. Connor Pierce, do you like how the Vikings are handling the cap? Well, they're making moves that were the obvious ones. I understand cutting Reef. It just seems mind-boggling that at Reef's contract, I mean, 11.75 for a mid-level left tackle is not a lot of money. Like, you couldn't retch a 6th-round pick out of the deal. That's pretty surprising. That is. But, yeah, overall, the Vikings, as of right now, they haven't done anything too severe. Like, cutting Bailey, expected. Doing some of the Reef, expected. Skolkwood back on a pay cut, expected, if not an outright release. Going out playing CNBC. Come on, man. Yeah, so nothing shocking at this point. Anthony DeBar is going to be the next big domino to fall. Next up is Gopher. Pretend we draft Slater at 14. Who's playing left tackle between him and Ezra? Probably Slater. Mainly because I question Slater's ability to play inside. Ezra, we saw, can play inside decently. So it's more, I do question Slater's anchor more than I do Ezra, even though he is shorter and does have a lower center of gravity. I think that Slater has that rare ability to play left tackle. Same thing with Ezra, but I like Ezra inside better than Slater. Basically what it comes down to. But just because if you start him week 1 doesn't mean we're closing the book. Like if Slater struggles, we could change things up. Miles, what's your favorite cut of beef? Mine is top sirloin. Well, the easy answer would be ribeye. I'm not a big filet fan. I know a lot of people aren't. Kind of seems like baby food to me. It's like, oh, it's so tender. Well, I mean, God gave you teeth. It wasn't meant to just be tender. Everything's soft. And I actually do think it is a little bit of the Asian DNA where you look at Asian dishes, especially you look at like short ribs and you look at the way that some of the meats are prepared. Like we like a little nod to our chaw. It might be a mastication thing. So maybe it just harkens back to that. But balancing, well, ribeye, always great. You love the fat, you love the marbling. But balancing like the economics of beef. I mean, ribeye, even if you get it on sale, it's still pretty spendy. New York strip is great, but if you're going for value, I mean, skirt steak is certainly there. You can go chuck roast. Well, chuck is great because you like the fat content. So if you're going to stew it, make a pot roast out of it, or what I like to do. Oh, by the way, brisket is the answer, but we'll get to that. But if you don't have time to do like a full brisket, just take a chuck roast and dice it up into cubes and just smoke it like you would normally do a brisket, but it'll take, I don't know, 2.5 hours. And you get the bark on the outside just like you would on a brisket where you have burnt ends, except you have an entire thing of burnt ends. So we call it chuck ends. It's not a really good term, but that's really good. So I guess chuck roast, since you can find chuck roast for, I don't know, $4 a pound, $3.50 a pound, $5 a pound, somewhere in there. It's really cheap, really good, economical cut of meat. Also, like shanks. Shanks are really good, even though I just threw like tender meat under the bus. But putting shanks in a crock pot or doing osso where it just fall off the bone, plus you get the marrow from that bone, it's good. It's good, man. But yeah, brisket is the answer. Next up, Griffin Creer. Could Oli Udoh play right guard? Yes. Yes, he could. The average gamer. Daniil to the Falcons for number 4, where we take Penny Sewell one time. God, that'd be sexy. Yeah, then Ezra, guess what? You're gonna play inside, buddy. Brett Vuzelos. I think we should start Oli Udoh left tackle and keep Ezra at guard. The problem is, Oli's never played left tackle. Like in college at Elon, he was always a right tackle. So he would be learning a brand new position. Ezra would be continuing to play out of position. I'll take my chances with Oli at right guard and then let Ezra get back out at left tackle. Luke Zacher. If the players were available at 14, who are you taking? Darisaw, AVT, Kwity Paye, Waddle, and Smith. Wow, Trey Lance Cup. Wow. Well, who the hell got drafted then? I would take Devontae Smith. Well, let's do a ranking. So I would go Devontae, Trey Lance, Darisaw, Waddle. No. Devontae, Lance, Pitts, Darisaw, Waddle, Paye, Parsons, AVT, Surtain. Chris Hansen, best team in every division. Bills in the AFC East. Ravens. Titans? I thought I liked the Jaguars, man. Out West, Chiefs still. NFC. Who cares about the NFC East? Probably the Cowboys. With a healthy Dak. North, Vikings. South. NFC South would be Nobody. Now we'll say still the Bucks. Still the Bucks. West is tough. Not ready to crown the Rams. I think the Niners bounce back after all those injuries. Seattle, definitely not if they get rid of Russ. I'll say the Niners. Pretty close, though. Next up, DP. Is any team going to pay Reef more than we would have? Probably not. But I think that he will get $9-10 million a year. And maybe 2 years of it, maybe with some significant guarantees. Jesse, who are your favorite big wide receivers in the draft? Well, Jamar Chase, even though he's 6'1", but he plays big. So, we're talking about like big-bodied, outside the number X receivers. Terrace Marshall Jr., did he clock in at 6'3" or 6'4"? Either way, I do like him. I think him in Baltimore would be a nice fit. Nico Collins was an opt-out for Michigan. He was a bit of a rotational guy in 2019. He would have done himself some big favors if he came in and just blew it up in 2020. Said Surratt from Wake Forest was Jamie Newman's big-time target. I don't care if he ran a slow 40. He was going to run a slow 40, but that's not his game, man. Like, he's 6'4", 220. Guy that's – well, he's not 220. Is he 210? No, big catch radius. Like, he really does remind me of Denzel Mims in the process last year, where I don't understand why Mims was so pushed down in the draft process. Because you talk, no, not Mims, Higgins. Yeah. T. Higgins were freaking condor arms, big time wingspan, ran a slow 40. Who cares? But he wasn't even talked about as like one of the top receivers. I really like Denzel Mims, and it sort of panned out his rookie year. Then Simi Feko from Stanford, basically like a small tight end. He does have some Darren Waller vibes to him, and also Trevin Grimes from Florida. I mean, Kyle had some really big weapons. You look at Grimes, you look at Pitts. Yeah. Next up, Casey Wall. Do you think the Vikings signed Joe Thuney and trade up in the second round for Walker Little? I don't know if you have to trade up in the second for Wheeler Walker Little Jr., pending on his pro day. What are your feelings about Sam Cosmi? I like him. He is the Cleveland and Ezra clone of this draft. Yeah, I don't know if he makes it in the first round. I think it might go late second round, just like Brian O'Neill and Ezra Cleveland. Jacob Ward. Any chance the release of Reef was a slight shot at Kirk? Kirk refused to restructure a pay cut, so the Vikings chose to let Reef go over Barr. Nah. I think it was just business. I think the Skullquit pay cut was a bit of a, hey, look, a Vikings veteran leader taking a little bit less, try and help out the team. Let's see. I'm not reading a mock. Michael Merchant Robles. Do you think releasing Riley Reef was the right thing? I would prefer trading him, but yeah, if they couldn't come to an agreement on a deal, it'd be what it'd be. Stanley Morris. Heard it here first. Mac Jones would be the third quarterback in the draft by the Falcons as well, if you care which team. Fits with Smith's system, and Mac Jones is more cerebral than an athlete. Wait, so you're calling like Trey Lance and Justin Fields like more athlete than cerebral? That's a shot. Westworld. Do you think the NFL will ever see a Ricky Williams draft day trade again? No. I think Mike Ditka was out of his gourd, and he was desperate to try and make something happen. Plus, he thought it was 1985. So, yeah, no. But I was down for trading all the picks for Jalen Ramsey. Did quite pan out. That's 2016 when the Vikings had probably their worst draft in history, by the way. AJ Bars. How often do you think a team's drafts a player that turns out to be fool's gold and is a bust once they get to the NFL, but was a very good player in college? Because the fact they... good example. I don't know, Glenn Dorsey of the Chiefs. Miles, will the Vikings trade for Scherf or Leonard Williams? If so, how much will it cost? No. It'll cost a lot. So not only do you have to give up capital, but you have to pay him. So no. Chase and Gelke. Do you think that the Vikings will trade up at least once and maybe twice in the draft? We had 15 picks last year, 12 the year before. Yes. I think the Vikings have gotten to the point where having 12 picks isn't really an asset at this stage. So I could see them packaging. I mean, they have 2/3 4/4, 2/5, and 2/6. They could certainly package a bunch of those, either a bunch of the 4, 5, 6 to get into the third, or a couple of 3, 4, 5, 6 get into the second. Ryan Sullivan, most underrated fast food restaurant sauce. Probably the In-N-Out sauce, even though that gets hyped enough. Now, the cane sauce is certainly up there, although that gets plenty of hype as well. No, I'll say the horsey sauce from Arby's. Giddy up. Road and Potty. Would you rather spend all our money on Joe Thuney or get Gabe Jackson and Kevin Zeitler now that Reef is gone? Well, if it's binary, if it's that choice, I'll take Gabe Jackson and Zeitler. Even though money-wise, it might be kind of close. Maybe 18 total for Gabe and Zeitler per year. Probably 16 for Thuney. Moros. Darisaw, Ezra, Dickerson, Zeitler, O'Neal. Ezra, AVT, Dickerson, Gabe Jackson, O'Neal. I'll take the first, because Darisaw is better than AVT and Zeitler is better than Gabe Jackson, even if Ezra has to play out of position. Oh, and Dickerson. Oh, yeah, snuck that in. AJ Barnes, what's the best single draft for a team you can think of? I mean, the Vikings 2015 draft has got to be up there. You get Kendricks in the second, you get Daniil in the third, and you get Diggs in the fifth. That's pretty damn good. Well, no, the draft with the Saints, I think it was 2017, where they got Ramczyk, Marcus Williams, Lattimore. Plus I think, yeah, those. Let's look, because I think that was the draft where they also got Kamara. 2017 Saints draft. Mickey Loomis just backed into that. Really, that's more Jeff Ireland. Yeah, I mean, the first 4 picks: Lattimore, Ramczyk, Marcus Williams, and Kamara. Just nailed draft. Oh, and Trey Hendrickson. Wow. Come on. Let's go. Yeah. All right, next up. Husker, do you feel it's a very critical year for Zimmer and Spill and Sago? 7-9 misplays are both gone. Yes, I think they are both fired. Not a question, but they got to do hard knocks on the Vikings. Well, to miss the playoffs next year, Zimmer would be good TV again. He was great for the Bengals last 2 years, but if they miss the playoffs again and they qualify, I don't think Zimmer's going to be back. Moros, I don't care what they do, but I want Darisaw, Dickerson with the top 2 picks. Yes. Ryan Topper, how do you like Paulson and Debo? I haven't done enough work on Stanford yet, but we'll get back to that. Lucas Johns, you're seeing Colin Cowherd rank the top 10 paid quarterbacks. Yeah, we just did that video. I don't care when we ripped him off, but that's out tomorrow. Average Gamer, what do you think of the Vikings signing Thuney, drafting Dana Filelli in the later rounds and playing him at right guard? I'm intrigued by Filelli. I think his best football is going to be ahead of him. I don't think the Gophers actually got the most out of him, but I mean, those physical tools and still being able to move at 400 pounds, like, he's not a stick in the mud. I mean, dude can get after it. It would be intriguing, but it'd be a long project. It's like the Eagles and that rugby player, Matala, Jordan Matala. I think that's what it is. Astro Zio, which one would you do? Fisher, Udo, draft pick, and remember number 2, because Eric Fisher is butt. Eric Fisher is not good. Also, yeah, sign Malcolm Butler, not Malcolm Jenkins. Jacob Ward, Skull from Idaho. We need proven linemen, not draft guys. Rick, yeah. Given Dennison's lack of developing offensive linemen, besides Brian O'Neill, even though O'Neill was here before Dennison got his mitts into him, yeah, draft a guy that you know is good. Or sign a guy that you know is good. Kyle Rippentrop, Thuney or Zeitler? Cost factored in, Zeitler. I think you can get Zeitler for 9. Thuney's probably going to be 15. Could you do a fan speak? Yes. Chris Danny Hansen, Thuney or Leonard Williams? Thuney. Because Leonard Williams is tagged. McNiller, Curtis Samuel, or Felton? I will take Felton. I think Felton's a little bit more of a dynamic athlete, plus Samuel's going to cost you money. Zaven Collins or Jabril Cox at their respective positions in the draft. I'll take Zaven. Even though Jabril's a lot of fun, I will take Zaven. It's kind of funny because they're like Zaven's like the Barr and Cox is like the Kendricks of the draft. It's kind of funny. Myers or Smith? So Josh Myers or Trey Smith. I'm guessing Trey Smith. Cisco or Ford. Cisco, Thong Song, Trent Williams or Joe Thuney. Oof. I'll take Joe Thuney because of age. Pork ribs or beef ribs, pork ribs. Eat in or grow out. Eat in. You get to the point where, hopefully, this isn't meant to be snobbish, but once you get to the point where you can cook just as good or better than you can get eating out, it's game over. Pulford Skull. Well, the one thing that we will go out for is sushi, because I haven't put the time in to be like, or really trust myself to be like, hey, we're going to be a sushi chef now. But no, pretty much everything else. Yeah. Pulford Skull. Pick your current free agent signing. Sanders or Smokey? Smokey. Because he'll be cheaper. Butler, Trufant, Butler. Dunlap or Quinn Jefferson? Dunlap, for sure. And that's it. That is the Daily Jerome's live stream for Thursday. Thank you very much for coming along. You guys are the best. I'll be back Monday. Subscribe,